Soon, WAIYAKI joined again in the daily rhythm of life in the village. He went out to look after cattle, organized raids, went out hunting. He joined in the dances for the young boys and felt happy. Days came and went, and still it was the same life. His eyes retained a strong and resolute look. Some people said that there was something evil in their glitter, but his father must have had the same sort of eyes. In a body becoming distorted with wrinkles, his eyes remained alive and youthful. One evening, a few weeks after his second birth, WAIYAKI was called by his father, who liked holding talks in his tingira, the man's heart. WAIYAKI entered very quietly because he was always uneasy in the presence of his father. Shege was sitting in his usual place by the pole. Goats and sheep slept together around him, and a low snore came from them. "Sit down," Chege said, and indicated a small four-legged stool standing legs upward near a fat sheep which slept very close to the fireplace. WAIYAKI poked the sheep in the ribs with the left leg so that he might get a place to sit. The sheep would not move, and WAIYAKI was forced to sit next to it. "And where do you take the cattle tomorrow?" The valley in Nyama." "Have you been to the hills deep south of Kameno?" Shege spoke slowly. Except for a slight tremor in the voice, it was young and calm. No," WAIYAKI answered with a slight pause. He was trying to recall the place. He wondered why his father was asking him all this. "Have you heard of the Sacred Grove?" "Yes, we hear about it." There was another silence. WAIYAKI grew restless with curiosity. "Leave the cattle and goats with your mother, for tomorrow we shall go to the hills." Outside it was dark. A few stars lay scattered across the sky. WAIYAKI was excited. He felt ready to start on the journey there and then. What were they going to do together? What were they going to see? It was a secret, a man's secret. What other hidden things did his father hold in his aging body? He wished Chege had told him more, but he will know all, everything, tomorrow. It will be a great day. The journey was important. As he ran into his mother's hut and sat down, he felt important and very big. Shege and WAIYAKI trudged on. The path they followed was unknown to WAIYAKI, as he had never gone that far along Honia River. But he was content to follow his father, who led the way through the labyrinth of bush thorns and creeping plants. WAIYAKI was often caught in the network of plants and thorns, sometimes extricating himself with difficulty. Nothing stirred, only the throb and fall of the river, accompanied by the occasional plash and slither of their footfalls. Sometimes Shege would stop and seem to listen. WAIYAKI stopped too, but would hear nothing. Shege would then pour a shower of saliva on his breast in the Gikuyu way of blessing. WAIYAKI thought his father was blessing the river. Few words passed between them, but when Shege stopped near a certain tree or bush, WAIYAKI knew that his father had something to explain. "The bark of that tree is good for a fresh wound. The roots of this plant are good. When your stomach bites you, you boil them in water. Drink the liquid." And sometimes it will be a warning against that tree whose fruit is full of poison. WAIYAKI felt close to his father as he had never felt before. He felt a glow rising inside him. Was he not drinking from a calabash of trust and responsibility? Tea theru of a truth. He was maturing. The hidden things of the hills were being revealed to him. They left the valley and began to climb up the slopes, past a rock here and a tree there. WAIYAKI was surprised at his father, who seemed to keep the same pace, while he himself was already panting. Once they disturbed an antelope from its hiding place, it leapt, and leapt away. Wayaki liked antelopes. He always felt a desire to touch their smooth bodies. They see men and run away. Why? Why don't they run away from women? Wayaki asked, puzzled. The forest was quiet. One could still catch the fading throb of the river. You don't know this? Long ago, women used to rule this land, and its men. They were harsh, and men began to resent their hard hand. So when all the women were pregnant, men came together and overthrew them. Before this, women owned everything. The animal you saw was their goat. But because the women could not manage them, the goats ran away. They knew women to be weak, so it was then that Wayaki understood why his mother owned nothing. They came to the top. There they found a beaten path which appeared to have been out of use for a long time. They took it. Ahead of them was a small hill standing all by itself. On top was the sacred place. Wayaki's heart gave a jump. He felt afraid and excited at the same time. A big mugumo tree stood near the edge of the hill. It was a huge tree, thick and mysterious. Bush grew and bowed reverently around it, and there the ancient tree stood, towering over the hill, watching, as it were, the whole country. It looked holy and awesome, dominating Wayaki's soul so that he felt very small in the presence of a mighty power. This was a sacred tree. It was the tree of Murongo. Wayaki, now on top of the hill, on the other side of the tree, surveyed the land, and he felt as if his heart would stop beating, so overcome was he by the immensity of the land. The ridges were all flat below his small feet. To the east, the sun had already risen. It could now be seen clearly. A huge red ball of smoldering colors, strands of yellowish red thinned outwards from the glowing center, diffusing into the thick grey that joined the land to the clouds. Far beyond, its tip hanging in the grey clouds, was Kirinyaga. Its snow-capped top glimmered slightly, revealing the seat of Murongo. The ridges slept on. Kameno and Makuyo were no longer antagonistic. They had merged into one area of beautiful land, which is what perhaps they were meant to be. Makuyo, Kameno, and other ridges lay in peace, and there was no sign of life as one stood on the hill of God.